Hey everybody, it's Jesse. Uh, Today we're going to go over props and passing data into React components with props. So this is going to be pretty basic. So if you're already familiar with props, you probably won't learn anything new. But before we get into that, I just want to go over a couple of things. The website now has a new launch date. So it's supposed to launch tomorrow. And now we have until May 25th to launch, which is good news. If you remember, we had a backup plan, and that was just to launch a static site. But now we don't have to. We have more time, and we can build out all the React components and launch the site. That'd be more in line with how I wanted it to be anyway. Hey everybody. Got some people saying hello in the live chat. Thanks for watching. I think I started a minute early, so there we go. We got some more people coming in now. It was weird. At first, it said no one was watching, which is crazy because I had some people waiting. Maybe it's just a little delay in the analytics. Reminded me of my first live streams when it was just me talking to no one. So next week is going to be a crazy schedule. I know I mentioned it a couple times that it would be different than normal, but I've kind of thought through when I really could stream, and Monday and Tuesday are just so booked up with meetings. I think the only time that I could stream is 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So Monday, Tuesday, that time will be different. So hopefully everybody who's kind of a normal viewer will see this and they won't miss it. The recording will still be available though, so you'll still catch everything. You just won't be able to participate in the live chat. Wednesday, I will be traveling. I have an early flight to Charleston, South Carolina for a conference. So I'm not really sure if there's going to be a live stream that day or not. It depends on whether the flight goes well and nothing's delayed, and what the Wi-Fi is like at the hotel. So we'll see. Wednesday, maybe there'll be something. I'll try to let everybody know through Twitter, and then I'll schedule the event so you'll be able to see the event time if I can. So Wednesday might not be anything. Thursday and Friday, these are the days of the Syntax Con conference that I'm going to. I don't know for sure what times during the conference I'll be able to live stream, but I'd like to do some live streams from the conference. It probably won't be me coding, and this also is dependent on the Wi-Fi available at the conference, if it can handle a live stream. But I'm thinking maybe I can live stream some video from my phone. I haven't done mobile live stream on YouTube, so maybe I'll have to read more about it and see exactly how to do it. But that's what I'm thinking. Let me know if you're interested in that. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, maybe if I can talk to some of the speakers and maybe do a little interview or something. I don't know. It might be interesting. It should be good quality. I have the one of the Pixel phones, so the camera's pretty decent quality. I don't know. I mean, it can take 4K video, but I really doubt that the network can handle streaming that. So maybe if I can get at least 720p, then I think it'd be worthwhile to stream. Okay, so that's it for the schedule next week. Let me know in the comments or in the live chat if you would be interested at all in seeing some sort of stream from the conference. If you guys want to see it, then I'll really try to do it. Otherwise, maybe not. And I've had a lot of people asking me for new videos, like on topics. So not a live stream, but just breaking down maybe a shorter video on a specific topic. A lot of people ask me about my build tools, how I have my workflow set up, or different topics. Like somebody asked yesterday about Sass, the CSS preprocessor Sass, and like how that works. So I'm going to do that, and I have a list of topics. And if you have any topics you want me to talk about, let me know. But right now, the top priority for me is getting this site that we've been working on launched. So I'm guessing I won't have time to make those videos until after the site launches. So expect some new videos after May 25th. And then I'll try, maybe in the mornings, I'll try to come in early when it's quiet and get some videos recorded and post as many as I can. All right, so today is Thursday. I don't know if you guys are Spotify users, but every Thursday they have a Throwback Thursday playlist. I was listening to that playlist this week, and it was from, I think, the year 2000, and it got me feeling nostalgic. So I thought I would do a Throwback Thursday to start things out of a website that I built in the early 2000s. I can't remember exactly what year. If I had to guess, maybe I'd say 2003. So I'm going to put this over here so you can see it, and don't make fun of me too much, but I'd understand if you want to make fun of me. Let me switch over here. So this is one of the first sites that I ever did professionally, meaning I got paid to do it. So I'm using the word professional here just in the sense that I got paid, not in the sense that I was any good. So this website remains largely unchanged. I will tell you though, I did not put this in, and right now I muted the sound, but there's actually a voiceover when you go to this website, and I didn't put that in. I'm not sure if the counter still works or not, but it has, over 14,000 views, right? That's respectable. So this is for a local community center that I did this. So I've come a long way since then. All right. Also, I want to thank everybody for being so awesome and on social media and in the comments. What year published? I think 2003. I think that's when I published it, somewhere around there. If not 2003, give or take a year or two. You guys are being nice about that website. It was. I'll throw it back on just one more time. This little section here, I'm not sure what's going on up here. This wasn't there when I first made it, but this little section drove me crazy. And at the time, I couldn't figure out how to get rid of this little white section there. And I just, it was like one of those pre-made website builder things. So it wasn't like I was really doing any coding, very much coding at all. But it got the job done. People still go to this site. From what I haven't asked about it in a while, but the last time I asked about it, which is maybe a year or two ago, I said people still go to the site. They still download different forms they need and get what they need from it. So it still functions. But you can see my name is nowhere on this site. You won't see this in my portfolio. Okay, somebody says they're looking forward to watching this whole series. Awesome. We have a good evening from Pakistan. Awesome, welcome. Yeah, if you guys want to put in the live chat where you're watching from, I think that's always cool to see where everybody's at. I did want to show you a small milestone. Sorry, the intro is taking a while, but I prepared a little bit ahead of time, so we should be able to get through everything quicker than normal. Little milestone for me, my Twitter has over 100 followers, so that may be a very small amount for some of you. I'm sure you have a lot more followers than that, but that was cool for me. That's a nice little personal milestone. I know a lot of you are following me. If you do follow me on Twitter, I will tweet out the times that I'm doing all the live streams beforehand. So I don't tweet that much, but I do try to tweet out the times at least. So it's another way for you to get the times. I think if you subscribe to this channel as well, you'll get an alert at least I get an alert on my phone and in my email when a live stream is going to happen. All right, so I think that's everything I wanted to say at first. Now let's start with some code. All right, we got the Netherlands, London, Nairobi. Awesome. Okay, Coding Tutorials 360 has asked if I'd be interested in being interviewed to talk about React. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested. Go ahead and send me, you can put something in the comments if you want to send me a private message. Do it on Twitter. That's what everybody's been doing usually. So yeah, if you guys have a question, you don't want to put it in the comments. I totally understand if you're not comfortable commenting for the whole world to see. I'm usually the type that kind of doesn't comment on things and stays kind of quiet online. So just direct message me on Twitter, and I can answer any questions that you have. So yeah, I'm definitely happy to do an interview if you want. We have Ghana, Alabama, Guatemala, Philippines, San Francisco, India, U.S. Awesome. We got people from everywhere. I just think that every time I see that, it's always so cool. I just don't get tired of seeing people from all over the world. So let's get to a little bit of this code. I'm going to go back over here and show you. I've done some of the work already. So usually I just kind of do everything, as we're going. But I started on this. We'll start properly the tutorial. Yeah, we're starting the tutorial now. Yeah, back to React. Somebody told me to ignore the live chat. Good advice. So I'm going to ignore it for a while. I'll come back to it later on before we end the video. So I've blown this up a lot, so it's kind of hard to see. And I have a lot of inline styles right now, which eventually I'll clean this up, and they probably won't be inline. But for now, yeah, I don't think nothing at the end of this is important for what we're doing right now. So we can safely ignore that. What we're worried about for now are, let's see, this props component here. Okay, so we have this props title. We're passing those props in. So this is the about page. So I've copied into a lot of that boilerplate that we worked on for the index page. And I took out the hero section since we don't have a hero section on the interior pages. And you see I've added this title component that we just saw. And in the title component, I have two properties. One is just called title, and I'm passing in about as the title. The other one I've named image path, and I'm passing in the path of the image that I want. So whenever this component goes to get rendered, these are the props that get passed in. So now when we go back over to the component, this makes a little bit more sense. So the title of the page, which in this case is about, gets put in right here. We've used this .props.title, and we've put that in brackets. So in React, if you want to add in some JavaScript in the middle, so we're inside this render function. This is basic, it's HTML. It looks just like regular HTML for the most part. But then we can drop right into JavaScript right in the middle of our HTML as long as we have it in brackets. So this part is the JavaScript, and we can grab those props. This is what allows us to reuse components. So I can use the same title component on every page, and all I have to do on that page, I'll flip back over, is just put in the correct title. Since we want a different image as the background for that title section, and let me show you what that looks like in case you're watching for the first time or you didn't see it. Here's kind of an example of the title section. Okay, so this is the actual section that's being rendered. It has a background image, and then it has the title, about. Okay, so the only two things that'll probably change are the background image and about. We're going to change a third thing, so I'll actually code in another prop live so we can see how it's done. Okay, the other thing we're putting in is the image path, and that goes in. Actually, this does go in the background image. So this is a little tricky. Let me show you how we did this. So we've added, this is just a normal style tag like we'd put if we wanted to do an inline style. I just glanced at the live stream again. Sorry, I know I said I wasn't going to do that, but somebody said they're from Narnia again, and I think that's awesome. If you're not familiar, there's a series of books that take place in this imaginary world called Narnia, and they're good books. Actually, I read the whole series to my kids about a year or two ago. It was fun. So let me scroll over. So all that's going on here is this is a background image property inside this style tag. So we've dropped into JavaScript, right? And then we're making an object with, that's what these second brackets are. So we can see this is just a normal JavaScript object. Okay, normally you wouldn't write it all in line like this, but it's a basic JavaScript object. Let me see if I can. Let me put it in a way that maybe will look a little bit more familiar to you. So I wouldn't normally make a component like this, but just for the sake of the demonstration, so it's easier for everybody to see, I'm going to break this down. Okay. I don't even know if this would actually work with all the spaces and stuff in it, but it's easier to see. So this looks, let's break this down. Oops. Okay. So this probably makes it look a little bit better. Why use style in HTML and not put everything in the style sheet? Well, one reason to put it in the HTML we'll see in a second. You can do either way. If you want your components, I don't know, my feeling is if I want my components to be really modular so that I can use them not just on different pages in the same site, but on totally different sites, then it's probably a good idea to put all the styles you would want for that component within the component. So I don't always do that. I probably won't do it for all the components for this site just because of the compressed timeline and the launch date that's coming up soon. But I think it's a cool concept to make your components completely self-contained and able to be reused. My goal for the university that I work for is to have a set of React components that are completely self-contained, that have the styles that we like to use for our sites, and that other people could use. So somebody in another department, maybe the IT department has a developer that can just take those styles and use it, and they don't have to know anything about the design or anything about how we make components, but they can just use that component. So to sum up, you can do it really either way. And you don't have to put it in line. I'll show you, probably not in this video, but in another video, you can put your styles in a variable, and then it'll look more like a normal style sheet. But in this case, we have the style background image, and it's a little bit different. Normally you'd say background hyphen image, but this is JavaScript, so we're going to camel case this and say background image. And pretty much, I haven't come across anything that doesn't have a camel case equivalent. There might be some sort of CSS property that is different. If you have one that's different, usually, I think this works. If you did something like this, like let's say you didn't camel case it and you made it the normal way with the hyphen, you could put it in quotes, and that should work. I haven't tried it in a while though, but I think on a previous project it works. Alright, so this is a background image. We're just adding this gradient. This might look weird to you if you're not familiar with ES6 or I think it's officially called ES 2015. It's some new JavaScript syntax. This is the template literal syntax. This is that little backtick that's right underneath the escape key on the keyboard. And I'll show you what's awesome about this in a second when we scroll over. So all we're doing here is we just have the linear gradient as our first background. We've added a comma in, and now we're adding our second background, which is the image. This is kind of a nice way to add an overlay over your image without having to make an extra div and trying to position it. You just make the gradient the same. So these are exactly the same values. And then it looks like a solid overlay instead of your normal gradient that fades into a different color. So we've got to the URL part. Now normally we would just type in a URL here, but we want to be able to change that. So in this case we put this props image path, but we had to do it differently. So here's why. We've dropped in at this point, after this style tag, see this part is still like HTML stuff. As soon as we put that bracket, we've gone into JavaScript mode. So this, between these two brackets, this is all JavaScript. So this part is basically a string. This whole part is just a string. Well, normally if you had a string and you wanted to put JavaScript in there, you would end your string, you would put a plus sign, and then you would put your JavaScript, and then you would put another plus sign, and then you would start a new string, right? Let me know if this is not making sense. If this is totally new to you, maybe you might need to watch it again if I'm going too fast, or ask me some questions, put them in the comments. I'd be happy to go over it again. But instead of doing all those plus signs, we use this template literal syntax, which is a tick here, this back tick here, and a back tick on the end. Inside that, so it's just a string inside it. So you can use that, and it's exactly the same as using a single quote or a double quote. But the cool thing you can do is, if you put $, curly bracket, now you can write JavaScript in there. You end the JavaScript with just one more curly bracket, and now you're right back into a string. I can also use both single quotes and double quotes inside this template literal syntax, these backticks, without breaking the string. So normally if you had a double quoted string and you try to put more double quotes inside, you're going to break up the string. So this is really cool. I'm kind of considering just making these my default go-to for strings. The only reason I haven't is I'm just so used to using usually single quotes in my JavaScript that by habit I put it in here. So you see I've done it here. But really these are so much more useful. Not every browser supports this, so you will need to transpile that. And I'll probably do a video on transpiling. Basically, if you're not familiar with transpiling, it would just transform this into older style JavaScript that more browsers can use. So it would take these out, put in regular quotes, put in some plus signs, and do all this. But Next, which is what we used to build this app a few days ago, or to build this React site a few days ago, comes built in with ES6 support. So we don't have to worry about it. This is going to get transpiled if we put this inside of our components. Does that make sense? The live stream has been pretty dead this whole time, so either it makes sense or I've just lost everybody. But let me know. So that was a lot. So let's do one. Let's code one right now and kind of take you through the steps. Sometimes it could be hard to read it when it's already done. So we'll go through the steps. I'm just going to go back on all this, so it's back to where I had it before. Oops, there we go. Almost back. Alright, I think that's back to where it was. Great. So what I want to do, what I'd like to do, let me bring this in for you to see. I'm going to bring this site again and show you the problem that we have. The problem is each image that we're going to use in the background, they don't always work in terms of the part of the image that shows up here. So sometimes you would just see like the sky, and you wouldn't see the buildings, you wouldn't see all this landscaping, or you just see the very bottom part. So we want to make some way to easily change the positioning. So I'll kind of show you, let me show you right now. The original positioning was about like this. That's not really what we want. So all I'm doing now, I have DevTools open in my other window. I'm just changing the CSS attribute called background position Y. So I'm changing it up, and I'm using, right now this is actually set at -46 VH. And that gives us, pretty nice section. You can see as we move the screen, it pretty much stays in that spot. It's not the greatest looking thing on a small screen, but it's not terrible. We might put in some alternate images for small screens at some point. Also, for some reason, I might need a better quality image. I just pulled these from the old site, and I don't know, that doesn't look great to me. So the image itself might need some work, but the basic principle is the same. So what we need to do then is we need to go to that background position Y. So the background image is on this section. And let me scroll over here. This is all just within that style attribute still. These are inline styles, which, as someone mentioned in the live stream, in the React way, it's not looked down upon to mix CSS with your HTML inline. It's a really weird way to look at it. There's actually a video where they explain why they did it like that, the people who made React. If I can, maybe I'll try to remember to find the link to that and put it in the description, just to give you an idea of it. It definitely is strange if you're not used to seeing it. Okay, so let's see. The background position Y, this is where I'm at right now. So you see, I actually have it, right now it's set to 100%. In DevTools, I had it changed. But what we actually want to do is we want to make this be able to be a prop that's passed in. So right now, remember, we're inside this JavaScript portion, and we're also inside a string. So what I want to do is change this to use that backtick so we can take advantage of that template literal syntax. Okay, so now this is still a string, but we have the ability now to do this, which brings us back into JavaScript. So we can do this props, and let's see what we want to name this. Let's just say shorthand kind of for position Y. Okay, you can name your properties anything you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have this in here now. Let's go back to about, and we're just going to add in here where we have our title component being pulled in. We're going to add in another property, another attribute called position Y, and we're going to set that equal to, what do we say? That's -44 VH. I'm going to save that. Let's go back and check it out and see if it worked. Alright, it looks good. I'm going to check it out really quick in DevTools on my other screen to make sure that it in fact did pull over. Okay, we have -44 VH. I'm going to refresh it just to triple check and make sure that this still works. And it's looking good on DevTools. It's looking good over here. Okay, so it works. So what we've done here is now we've given anyone editing this the ability to change the Y position of that background image to whatever they want without having to actually edit this title component. So they never have to go in here, never have to change any of this. And now we can change 3 things about this title component straight from the page where we're importing it. We can change the title, we can change the image that's being used, and the vertical, the Y position of that image. And we can reuse this on every single page. So what I'm probably going to do as soon as I'm done with this live stream is I'm going to copy and paste this on all the other pages. Unless I can figure out some way to save myself from copy and pasting this, which there may be some way to do some sort of overall layout component in Next. Maybe I'll read the documentation. Since we don't have a lot of pages, it's probably going to be faster for me to just copy and paste. But on a larger site, we may want to think of some other way to do that. So, all right, it's 2:30 exactly. I said I'd go back to a live stream, so the tutorial part's pretty much done. If you don't want to stick around, I'm going to go to the live chat now, check out if there's any questions, and try to answer some questions before we end. So let me scroll up. All right, so we have people shouting out where they're from: Germany, South Africa, Netherlands, Nairobi, Ghana, Alabama, Guatemala, Philippines, San Francisco, India, Ukraine, Syria, North Pole, Alaska, farthest. Wow, somebody. They said they might be the farthest north. I think you're definitely the person that's the farthest north that I can remember. It's Paul said that. Montreal, Portugal, with Narnia. Let's see. Okay, Samuel Kaiser, which I'm sorry if I mispronounce anybody's names. I'll try the best I can. Asks, what's the head component he's using? So, I don't think I explained this. I apologize. This is something that Next.js has built in. We can import head from Next head. So anytime we're importing something from Next, this directory, it's something built in from Next. And basically what this does is it lets me put a custom head tag in any of my pages. So I can change this stuff in here, and that'll go into the head of that page when it gets rendered. So that's nice for, well, like we have different titles for the pages. We may not need to load everything if we're not using, the same fonts or styles. So that's where that comes from. That's a built-in thing. You can read more about it in the documentation for Next.js, which I think I have linked already in the description. And now I just scrolled down and saw that Samuel Kaiser just did exactly that. He checked the description and checked out Next.js and found the answer to it. So maybe I should have scrolled down a little bit more to see. But I guess that would be good for anybody who's watching this later on and has a similar question. People were asking about the code editor I'm using. It is Atom. I have a link to that in the description if you want to check out Atom. I'm using the SETI theme, SETI. Somebody's from Australia, from the UK, Sweden, India, Somalia, Scotland, Italy, Ukraine, Pakistan, England, Thailand, Poland. Hey, Poland. All right, I have relatives that came from Poland on my mom's side. My mom's parents were on one side Polish and on the other side Italian. So I got a lot of love for Poland. And all right, so that's it for the live stream. If you're still sticking around after all that, I know I went a few minutes over, but I want to make sure I got to your questions. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. If you don't want everybody to see your question, direct message me on Twitter. I will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Next week's going to be a weird schedule. If you missed the beginning of the video, go back and rewatch it. I have explained what the schedule is going to be like next week and why. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.